Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, welcome to a special episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight?
It's the official console historian of the Games My Mom Found podcast network, Kerry Carusetta.
And my name is Kody, and my custom OS is compatible with SyncThing.
Nice.
So we are going to be doing something different than what we normally do. We're going to be talking about emulation machines, and emulation itself, and modding hardware, and see where the hell we end up. And this was planned a long time ago, but then some asshole decided to put tariffs on the country. So we didn't do it back then.
Well, yeah. A lot has changed in the emulation machine market. 2025 has been a pretty big year. A lot of new devices, a lot of fun advancements. So there's definitely a lot to talk about with these devices for sure.
It was back in April 2nd of 2025, and I asked for questions about it. That's when we were planning on doing it. Right before Liberation Day. So, Kody, what's the first one we should talk about? I know you had mentioned we had one on the deck.
So, yeah, I actually started looking into emulation kind of seriously in 2020, which is, I think, kind of when these sort of single board emulators, what I kind of focus on that's kind of when these things started taking off with like the Miu Mini. Basically, they're small devices that look like Game Boys or, different variations on Game Boys or Game Boy Advances or Game Boy Advance SP. And they're able to play video games through like a front end, which is kind of like an emulation station. And then it basically all just uses what's the it just left my head, the big emulator that a PC uses. RetroArch, yeah. Basically, a lot of them just use RetroArch in the background, and the front end just kind of makes everything look super nice on the display. But a lot of these can play, multiple systems, and just kind of depends on the device, what you're able to do. Like Kerry, I know, has a handheld that has thumbsticks. So, if you're wanting to play, PS2 games, that can kind of inform choice of what kind of device you get. I actually asked Kerry about it during 2020 because he was into what I call the precursor to these handheld emulators, which is just modding the devices themselves.
Yeah, the original stuff.
Yeah. And it actually started because I was looking for a Game Boy Advance SP to, replay some of the Pokemon games. And even just pick up like an EverCart, which is an aftermarket Game Boy Advance cart that you can just kind of slide into the cartridge slot and load up with ROMs. And so those are always fun to play with. And those are really nice because they just work. There's very little like software background stuff, whereas a device like this one that I'm holding is a TrimUI brick. This can kind of require a little bit of tinkering around with software, and so it can take a little bit of extra knowledge, I guess, to get working.
Yeah.
Is it, and what can that go up to, the TrimUI brick, like for system?
So this one can go up to around the PlayStation 1.
Nice.
But
That's
one
not
thing
bad.
to consider is, with a device like this, there's no thumbsticks. So if you're somebody who likes to play PS1, that would kind of inform the form factor that you get. And there's so many of these different companies that have so many different models. I think Ambernick comes out with like 5 or 6 new models a year.
Yeah, at least.
And so if you like, for example, these are vertical form factor devices. So if you like horizontal form factor devices, more like a Steam Deck, they're definitely like the Retroid Pocket 3, I think, is a horizontal device.
Yeah.
And those are also kind of better for playing more modern systems like PSP. Anything with a wide screen, will just look better on a horizontal device. Because if you play like a PSP game on this, the screen is fairly big on this device, but it will squeeze down because it was just made for that system, a widescreen device.
Yeah. But even just like for Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, and the thing is about $60 from what I see online on AliExpress.
The Retroid Pocket 3. The Retroid Pocket 3, yeah.
The TrimU thing, the TrimUI brick.
Oh, the TrimU. Okay. Yeah, never mind. I'm sorry.
$60.
Yeah.
That's not bad though. Like,
$60.
I mean, and people that are always wondering about emulation, like, you can Google Reddit and you'll find ROM sites just fine that are safe.
Yeah.
That's what I always tell people. Just Google, put Reddit, put ROM site safe. You'll get a message board that tells you where to go. Like,
Yeah.
They haven't gone anywhere. I'm just not going to tell you where to find them. But that is cool because my first real step into that world where it wasn't a laptop was a Steam Deck. And for me, the Steam Deck opened up a whole world, but that is a $300-$400 handheld. I mean, this is $60, and then you can play up to PS1 in your pocket. Like, that's not bad.
Yeah, so I could talk a little bit about. I only have one of the dedicated devices like this. I have some others, things I can talk about, but I have the RG40XX, the Ambernic RG40XX, which comes in either the V, which is the vertical, like, and looks like a Game Boy, or the H, which is horizontal and looks more like a kind of like a Vita. And it can go through Dreamcast, so it can go a little past PS1. It can do PSP, PS1, Dreamcast. Those all play flawlessly. Sega Saturn is kind of title by title, how well it runs. It'll run Sega Saturn, but it's kind of iffy. And the Saturn has always been kind of a white whale of emulation because of the way it was designed. It has 8 processors working together, and that makes it super difficult to emulate. So, my gaming PC, I can play Saturn easily. But my handheld, I play a couple of Saturn games and get 60 FPS on them, but then some it's like 5. And then no PS2. It has a single thumbstick. So you're not really doing any dual thumbstick stuff. But you think about it, like the PSP only has one thumbstick. The PS1 eventually came out with a dual thumbstick controller, but originally was no thumbsticks. The Dreamcast is only one thumbstick. The N64 is only one thumbstick. So it makes sense for this one in particular. And it's like right now from their website, it's $60.
Yeah, and that is not bad. Like, I mean,
and it is also it's gonna come loaded. It's gonna come loaded with ROMs as well, by the way. Just FYI, because they are a Chinese company and they don't care about copyright. So now personally I loaded it with I put in my own collection, and it does all sorts of stuff, that it doesn't come loaded with. I mean, you can play Atari 2600, 5200, 7800. You can play Commodore 64 stuff, and I really like TurboGrafx 16, what they call the PC Engine outside of the United States. I like that a lot for these. That's a great system for a little handheld. A lot of good, really beautiful little shooters with and platformers and stuff with really nice music. But so that's the only one of these that I have. I do, though. I'm an enthusiast of these, and I just will, while I'm eating lunch at work, I'll shout out Retro Game Corps. Corps is in like Marine Corps, CORPS. They're a YouTube channel that reviews these and is kind of considered the gold standard in the community for reviews of these devices. And so every time one is coming out, they have a preview of it. Then when it comes out, they've got a review of it, and they do detailed, like they do little videos, they do like 2-hour videos, they do both. They do. They just put out last week, I think, their favorite handhelds of 2025. So that's a great one to look up, and they'll go through like, here's the best one for under $100. Here's the best one that money can buy. Here's the most interesting one. Here's the weirdest one, etc. And there's just so many. There are literally dozens and dozens of these things, and you can go wrong. I was gonna say you can't go wrong, but really, there's so many. You just kind of find the one that perfectly suits you.
Yeah,
what you want to do.
Game Core.
There's fake DSs too. I'm looking up the video that you just mentioned. That's what I've thought about getting, because I have a DS, a 3DS that I use with a flash cart. That's a different thing.
Yeah,
but came from China also, I'm pretty sure.
I was gonna say I have a modded 3DS that I play DS on. I also have just like a couple of DS Lites laying around, and I have an R4 card, which is the flash card for a DS. If you've got an old DS laying around, an R4 card is about $20 on Amazon, and you can put every single DS game that was ever made on an R4 card.
Oh yeah, they are.
And then
nice.
And they have them that'll do 3DS also. Like my R4 card does DS and 3DS, so I can run it in my 3DS and run both. But you do have to have a modded 3DS for it to work. But you don't have to mod a DS at all. The DS it has nothing to stop it. So
yeah, the 3DS will read DS games. I just can't do 3DS games on my 3DS that are on our R4 card because I haven't modded it. But like I was really skeptical about those things, but then friend of the show Vince is like, hey, you just like they work, and it's for those that are curious. Just look those on Amazon. If you search 501 DS cartridge, that's those things. They come with an SD card. You just can pop it in your computer, put your own ROM collection on it, what you want, and boom, you're good to go. It's not bad.
Yeah, very cool.
The DS, the new DS emulators that they've been coming out with this year, most of them run off of a version of Android, and apparently one of the big hurdles that was climbed over this year was the ability to have two screens running at the same time, and I believe that was a shortcoming of Android itself, but Ambernick has come out with a DS handheld. Ein has come out with the Thor, and then there's one other, I believe.
There's the 1X Sugar.
The 1X Sugar, yeah, the one that
what kind of name is
transformer.
It's like a transformer. You can like configure it into like 7 different configurations, and it costs $700.
Oh my god!
It flips around. So you know how the 2DS, not the 3, so it's the 2DS with that looks like the door stopper. Basically, it looks kind of like a Vita, like a handheld, like a horizontal Vita, but it has a screen on the back of it that rotates completely around and flips out like that. And then you turn the handles around it like that, and it kind of looks like almost like a butterfly knife when you're like, or like a wine cork opener with the action. So it's a very strange device. But I will.
And there's no way to fold it to where a screen is not laying outside, like as in like when you're putting it. If you lay it down on a table, you're laying it down on a screen. Unless you've got it completely flipped out, right, in 3DS mode. But if you're trying to play it without 2 screens, one of those screens becomes the back of it, and you can. And so it's they just were like, this thing is just like scratches waiting to happen, and broken screens waiting to happen. It seems like a terrible idea to me, but it's pretty ambitious at the same time. Yeah, I respect the gumption. Yeah,
we're really getting there.
The second hurdle that they have not yet completely cleared just yet, and this is why I would just honestly recommend just buying a used new 3DS XL and just mod it, because it is very easy to mod. You could find YouTube tutorials online. It takes a couple hours at most.
Oh, I mean, less than 15 minutes now if you've got a 3DS. It's literally 15 minutes. It's insane how fast it is now.
But one of the big problems that they haven't yet completely cleared is there's a bit of a delay when you touch the touchscreen with either a stylus or your finger. And so games like Elite Beat Agents, kind of what I would consider more iconic DS or 3DS titles, you might have some serious reaction time problems. So if you're trying to do really well in Star Fox Command for some reason, you're not gonna do super great there. But for games where the touchscreen wasn't integral to the gameplay, then sure, But then you don't necessarily need a dual screen system to play those. You can play DS on this, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say I play DS. I mean, on my phone even my phone emulates DS flawlessly. It's just. Oh, yeah. I'd rather have I was going to say, so is the Iron Thor, does the Iron Thor have that problem also?
I think the Thor is the best. It has the best response times. I know that the Ambernick unit I think the Ambernick unit is the cheapest. I think it's like $100, but I think that one has probably the worst response times of the currently available units.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I would say the Iron Thor, the cheapest Iron Thor is $250.
Yeah,
and that's about as much. I mean, that's about most likely that's what you're going to end up paying for a new 3DS used.
Yeah, that's why I just recommend just buy a 3DS, because you won't have to deal with the hardware latency problems you also won't have to deal with I mean, you'll still have to find ROMs. I mean, actually, now with HMart, you don't even need to find ROMs anymore. So you don't even have to deal with going to parts of the web where you need a VPN to go, and you don't have to worry about as much of litigation from Nintendo of having those files on your hard drive. So,
though I would say the Iron Thor. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say the AYN Thor can do a lot of stuff though that the 3DS is pretty limited in its like my modded 3DS, I play 3DS, DS, NES, GBA, GBC, Virtual Boy, not much else, right? Like it can't do N64. It can't even do Super Nintendo unless you have a new 3DS. The old 3DS, I mean, it can, but it doesn't play very well. It can do Genesis because Genesis is a little lower resources to emulate than Super Nintendo. But Super Nintendo runs real choppy on it on a base 3DS. The and Thor, you can play like PC games. You can play PS1, I think PS2 and stuff. So you've got to go ahead.
You could also like play a game on one screen and then have a YouTube video playing on the other screen, which is kind of just like seems like a fun.
I've seen people doing that.
Some people have been kind of exploring Wii U emulation with that.
That makes me happy.
That's cool.
Like a fun. But then there's I forgot what the other company that made one that was about $1,000.
Yeah, I forgot that one because I don't. I'm like, well, that's not for me.
Yeah. No, that just seems too much. Like, I remember when I bought the Steam Deck for like $400, $500, I was like, and that thing was so worth it. But $900, like, I don't know.
I'm trying to remember I'm looking up what that one was called. But the other device that I have that I really enjoy is actually based in Android. And this is the Retroid Pocket Classic 6, which has a Sega Genesis button layout. It has the 6 face buttons, as well as the shoulder buttons on the back. And this can play up to PlayStation, can play N64 actually in a unique way because this screen is actually a touchscreen. So you can have these outer 4 buttons, the X, Y, B, C buttons be the C buttons, have these buttons be the A, B buttons. And then I have the D-pad mapped as the thumbstick, and I have a D-pad on the touchscreen. So you can actually play like full N64 games on this pretty well. But this is actually kind of one of those instances where like Kerry's device cost about half of what this one does. This one's about 130 and his has a thumbstick. So his is actually a lot better in a lot of ways. But again, like I have access to those 6 buttons. So that's kind of one of those things with how many of these devices that are out. There are such minute differences in like form factors that there's literally something for everybody.
Yeah, it really comes down to just what you're wanting. Like there's a lot of SP, the SP clamshell form factor has become like the big thing now. And there's a bunch of there's several different ones of those if you like that. Like I never liked the clamshell SP or GBA. I like the wide GBA, the original. Which I'm holding. Right? Yeah. I like that form factor more, or I like the big chunky brick of the Game Boy. But the GBA SP, it always just felt a little too scrunched for me, a little too small. But if you like that, I mean, Ambernick they've got a couple of flips. They've got the 35 SP, which is only $50 and looks exactly like a GBA SP. And then they've got, I can't remember which one it is, but it's the same thing, but it has dual thumbsticks.
Nice.
The 34, yeah. Yeah. And that's 67 right now on their website. So they also have one that I'm really like I'm like, that would actually be kind of fun, but it's a little too expensive for me, is they've got the slide now. So it's like that Xperia or Ericsson, that Sony, the PSP.
Sony Ericsson Xperia Play.
Yes, there you go. It's like that. It's that form factor, but not because that's an awesome, or I guess that's kind of the same form factor as the PSP Go also.
PSP Go, yeah. It was I actually had the Xperia Play back when it came out. The US version was a little bit gimped. Like it had a vanilla OS. It didn't come with the PlayStation Store like it did in Europe. And it was such a bad phone. Like it sounded like you were talking down a hallway. Like it was a bad phone.
That's crazy.
It was Android, so you could just like, I threw Game Boy emulators and like, so I would use it, and it basically was kind of like a sidekick, but instead of a keyboard, it had a D-pad and like a gamepad and 2 touchpads. where the thumbsticks of a PlayStation controller would be. They were just like a touch bar. This one has thumbsticks though.
Yeah, the RG Slide has thumbsticks. Yeah, it's really pretty. It's 150 right now, and it's like I don't need another one. The one I've got is plenty. And I'm like, but that is really, I do just love that form factor of it looking like a chunky cell phone, and then boom.
Well, that actually
love the sidekick idea.
That actually is
so much
kind of
stuff
an interesting. That's an interesting transition to something that I use that might be useful to you, Kerry, is SyncThing, which is a software that I use with both of these systems.
Oh, nice.
These systems basically run two different softwares. This one is based off of Linux. It uses Pack UI, and this one uses Emulation Station. But SyncThing is a software that you can use with your PC to basically sync the save files between your devices. And basically, as long as your computer's on and your computer or your devices are set up, it'll sync the saves back and forth. So like I've been playing Brave Fencer Musashi that way, actually. I've been going back and forth between these two devices, and it works.
That's very cool.
Well.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So if you get a second device, there you go. You know, you just swap between them, and it's whatever you're feeling that day. Do you feel like having the slide, or that's another form factor thing where like sometimes the thumbstick makes it harder to pocket, you know, so having the slide might make you slide into your pocket easier and not catch.
Yeah, mine is a little big for my pocket. I can fit it in my pocket, but I don't feel comfortable doing it. So I have a case for it that I carry it in, and it's my car rider line thing. When I'm waiting in the car rider line to pick up my son from school every day, I get 20 to 30 minutes of retro gaming in.
That's perfect.
See, but you're making use of your time.
Exactly. No, it's great.
Oh, and to go back to the Retroid Pocket, for those that are curious, like you can even get it right on Amazon. This one doesn't have a joystick, but it does have the 6 buttons like you were talking about earlier. $150. Oh,
which Retroid Pocket is that? Which one are you looking at?
It is the Classic 6, it says.
So that one also comes in a 4-button version. So the Retroid Pocket Classic. So if you just want the 4 buttons, they also have it in the 6-button with the Sega Saturn colors, because this actually plays Saturn fairly well. It does. You do need to go into the settings and force, depending on the game. Either the Beetle core or Yabushan's Shiro is the other one that works really well. But each game kind of works better with different cores, emulation cores, which is kind of, again, one of those settings you have to get into in RetroArch. But it's really easy to just download the cores and just have them all available to you. But it just kind of, you just got to test it out, and a game might not run super smoothly. And then you just kind of go into the options, change the core, and then give it another go. It's the same thing with basically any of the more high-end emulators like N64, PlayStation. You know, sometimes a ROM might not run super smoothly, and you just gotta go into the settings and tweak things a little bit.
You don't see it too. PS2 and up is where you start really running into that issue. Like I've emulated I've done up to PS3, and PS3. Like, I couldn't even understand what I was doing until I watched a guide. Like, that's why I always tell people when anyone's like, oh, I want to get an emulation, like, I want to do this, I will send people YouTube videos, like, just follow the instructions to set it up. I mean, some are simple, like, if you're looking at N64, even, I think PS1 you might, I think PS1 you have to extract from the folder, but, like, N64 and Game Boy Advance and all the cartridges stuff, you just put it in a folder, and it opens up. It's no issue. Like, it's not hard. I mean, I get a lot of people get worried about emulation because when you get in the farther systems, PS2 can be frustrating to mess with, and there are some games I think some games are still broken, but I think majority of the library is up and running at this point with emulation, if not the whole library.
On the PS4 or PS3?
PS2.
Oh,
PS3,
PS2.
I think most of the library is up and running too for emulation at this point. PS3 is complicated because you have to install it to the emulator, like you have a real PS3. So it's a little bit more difficult. But I did it. I only had to do it ever once because I had Silent Hill Downpour. My legal 360 copy wouldn't run, so I had to resort to emulation.
Yeah, I remember. All I've done with PS3 is I played through Demon Souls on PS3, emulated on my PC, no problems. could not get Metal Gear Solid 4 to run in time to be on the Metal Gear Solid 4 episode of the podcast.
To be
so
fair,
I was still. I think I just watched the cutscenes.
I mean, I don't think Konami can even get that game to run on other things. That's why we've never seen it again. There is something up with Metal Gear Solid 4. Like, that is one of those games that just doesn't. I mean, people can get it to run on Steam Deck. I've seen videos, but you got to do so much fucking with it to make it run, right? It is not a simple game in anything. Even on PS3, like, it doesn't hard.
I wanted to loop back real fast on if you're looking at getting into these handhelds and you're like, I don't want to spend a bunch of money. Anbernic has their like lowest end one they sell, the RG28, which is going to do you like everything through like, GBA. So it's going to do, GBA, it's going to do, well, not N64, I guess, but it's going to do, SNES, GBA, all that stuff. If you just want to play like old stuff, that is $30. $30. And it's a really comfortable, it's a nice, good size, feels good, it's pocketable. It's a really nice one. Like I actually thought about getting that one at one point, but I wanted to be able to play a couple of things like Dreamcast specifically, and so I didn't go for it. But yeah, if you just want to get into it, the RG28, Anbernic RG28, $30. And that's great for like if you're doing real retro. So just as a little recommendation there if you're worried about price. Because like, if you want to spend the big bucks, then yeah, you can do, you can basically spend like Steam Deck money on the Retroid Pocket 6, which is their newest one. And that thing's a beast, but it's also $230,
It's nice that there's lots of different levels depending on what you want to get into. Like I always tell people, I mean, one thing that I love about the Steam Deck, for example, is that I'm able to make use of time. Yeah. Having one of these handhelds, you just pop, like the old days, like a Game Boy Color, you just have it in your pocket, like, hey, I got 20 minutes while I'm waiting for stuff. All right, I'll just sit here and play this. Like, they're nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the Emmernics...
Very convenient.
I did have a joke before we got too far from the Metal Gear Solid, and that was that Kerry's computer probably just didn't have the emotion engine, which is why he couldn't play. but yeah, I mean, one other thing I do want to throw out there is like, even if you're looking at a kind of cheaper device like the Trim UI Brick, or like another one that I can definitely recommend is the Miu Mini or the Miu Mini Plus. Those are in the $40 and $50 range. These things can play like up to PlayStation, and even a lot of like PlayStation games, we really hadn't fully grasped what like 3D games were. So to use Brave Fencer Musashi as an example, you rotate the camera using the L2 and the R2 on the back of the thing, or on the back of the device, and so like that's a 3D game that you can just play like on this, no controller issues warranted. And like Kerry said, if you're just wanting to play, like if you're wanting to replay Pokemon, or like you have like you had a Game Boy back in the day, and like you have a deep-seated love for tracks, and you just have to have it in your life, like, yeah, these things are great for that. And you don't need to spend Steam Deck money. You could be like $60, $20 for a micro SD card, and a couple hours in an afternoon to watch a YouTube video, and like even a dummy like me can get these things running. So I mean, you the listener can definitely do it if I can do it.
They're not hard. Like that's the thing that's like, if you just Google whatever it is that you have, and you will find a YouTube video. Guarantee it with someone explaining to you, hell, where to get everything you need too, depending on what you're trying to emulate. Like that's some of the beauties of it. Like they'll tell you exactly where to find the stuff.
Yeah, there's so many good videos walking you through step by step how to set these up also. But most of them come working out of the box, and it's just, if you want to take it further, you've got to do some stuff. Like for me with my Anbernic, I wanted to do custom firmware. So I'm using which my Anbernic is Linux based. And so I'm using a Linux front end called Nulli, Knulli. And I really love the way it looks. It has a kind of a similar look to Emulation Station, which is an Android application. But it's really pretty. It works super well. And, setting up Nulli was a little bit of a process, but their website walks you through, do this, now do this. Now do this. And so it didn't take me very long. I just had to, and it wasn't difficult. I was able to just sit there and follow it. And then I can, like, whenever someone mentions a game and I'm like, oh, I don't have that on there, I can literally just get on my PC and find the game and upload it to my Ambernic wirelessly over my home Wi-Fi.
That's
also,
nice.
Which is really cool.
That's better than having to put it on SD cards and then because like right now for the Steam Deck, for what I do example is I have a flash drive that has a USB on one side and then a USB-C on the other, and that's how I transfer ROMs to and from my Steam Deck. So that's a much better way to do it if you can just do it,
Yeah, if you've got fast home Wi-Fi, which I do, so.
I do. I just couldn't get it to work. I think you can do it in the Steam Deck, but I do.
Yeah, you should be able to, because I actually do it on my Vita also and my 3DS. They both can do it wirelessly, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, I just couldn't figure it out.
One thing to consider with some of these devices as well. I know that I had the Ambernic, the 3.5 SP. A lot of these have HDMI ports and Bluetooth, so you can actually plug them into your TV and basically play them as consoles with wireless remotes.
Yeah.
So actually, one funny one, I shared it with a friend, or I sent it to a buddy of mine, but I had the Ambernic Arc D, which was a horizontal Sega device. It actually had a second USB port, so you could plug a second controller into it and play two-player games on the screen of the Arc.
Yeah.
With a second player just using a different controller. So I thought that was funny. You could just use like 8BitDo M30 or something, something like this, and just plug it in, and you had a console, like just to use on your regular TV. So those are fun too, for sure.
I love where we've gotten to.
Yeah, emulation has improved so much. Just in the last 5 years, it's gotten pretty crazy.
And if you never mess with it, it opens up a whole world of games that, like, I first found it in high school. That's when I was first introduced to it. Or maybe not, maybe 8th grade. The first website I ever found that got me in emulation was qualityroms.com, which doesn't exist anymore. Run by, like, Arch Nacho and Tortilla Godzilla for their names. And they just handpicked, like, Nintendo ROMs that they liked. And that was my first introduction to ROMs. And then since then, it's exploded.
Yeah, I remember when I was I'm a little older. When I was in high school in the 90s, my best friend was a Mac guy, and Mac had an open source PS1 emulator that you had to run, but there's no place to get PS1 ROMs or files. So you put a PS1 disc in the CD drive of his Mac, he had a G3. It was like 1999, 1998, and we'd play, gosh, I can't remember what game it was, but I think it was Chrono Cross, I believe, was the game that we played on his Mac in high school. I think it was Chrono Cross, yeah.
That company got sued. I made that emulator, by the way.
Yeah. But then when I went to college, man, that in going from dial-up at home, 56K dial-up at home, to college, they had a T3 line, and it was all the college network, and you just go on the college network and you just find like emulation, ROMs, every system imaginable, just downloaded off of the school network. It was crazy. And that was when I got really into emulation, was in college.
It really opens a world. Like, every so often I'll see people bitch about, like, for example, Mother 3, because it never came out officially. And I'm like, it's never going to come out officially. Just emulate it. Like, there are things that you're missing out.
There is an excellent the iconic fan localization of it by Tomato, who is kind of the king of localization. He runs the website Legends of Localization, and he has, he's a professional localizer, but then he did Mother 3 as just like a fan project back in the day. That was like how he became well known, I think, in the community.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you can in fact, Mother 3 is one of the first games I played on my Ambernic when I got it. Yeah, though I didn't finish it, but I recall, being on the plane, playing it on the plane to England this past summer, playing it.
See, that's what makes these. I tried Mother 3 once on my phone, because like anyone has an Android phone, you can get emulators right in the Play Store. I don't recommend it just because you're still playing on your phone, but it works.
That's why I went Android back in like 2009. I got the T-Mobile had an Android phone. Can't remember what it was called, but that was why that was my first smartphone. I went Android partly because I'm like, well, I want to be able to emulate things, and you can put RetroArch on your phone. Like I do that all the time. Like any kind of like game that doesn't require fast reaction times, like Final Fantasy. I mean, I played through Final Fantasy 1, 4, 6, 7, all on my phone.
hey, it's whatever gets you to, have an experience that you wouldn't have had.
Multiple Pokemon games played through on my phone. Yeah.
I beat Fire Emblem, the first one, on my phone once, a long time ago, one of my early smartphones. I remember doing that. Played through the entire game on my phone. Animusha Tactics. Played it while at work, too. That was great. I'd go take down the garbage, and as I'm pushing my big garbage bin down the hall, I'm sitting here making moves in Animusha Tactics on my phone. That was great.
So I've actually got a couple more things I want to touch on, though, with these devices, because we talked about how, like, if you want to play 3DS games, like, you should just get a 3DS because they're easy to mod. I will say that these types of devices have a couple niceties that I would say are better than just picking up the original hardware. And that kind of goes for anything, right? Like if you pick up a PS1, you'll have to pick up a memory card and all that stuff. But with these types of devices, you can generally enable hotkeys to have like auto saves and kind of save scum your way through games that, maybe they're a little bit quicker than, we're getting a little older, right? Our reaction times aren't as good. So maybe being able to save scum through a game to get through it a little bit easier. Another feature that I have set up on all my devices is fast forward. So especially if you're playing an RPG or, games
Pokemon.
that have long, Pokemon that are, you're just doing the same thing over and over. You could get through them a lot quicker. And I guess one last thing that I like to do personally is I actually kind of like to try to like focus what I'm playing, because the good and the bad thing about this is it's kind of feast and famine. You have so much. You could put thousands of games. Like I have a terabyte SD card in this thing. I have thousands of games on this. So like one thing that I've been doing with this unit in particular is I've been reading Playing at the Next Level, which is a book by Ken Horowitz. And he's going through a list of different American Genesis developers and talking about like different highlighted games. And like one game is a game called The Ooze that was done by Sega of America. And it's an interesting kind of learn about like when things were released. Like, oh, this came out like just after the 32X was released, and it was held back because they wanted to put more better music in. And so like that was supposed to be a regular Genesis release. So it's just kind of fun to kind of learn about the backstories of what makes games important, and to kind of, it can be kind of paralyzing sometimes to like see the list of 1,000 games, and go, what do I even play? Or then you'll go, oh, I'll just play Super Mario Brothers again. And, it's the Netflix problem. You sit there scrolling through Netflix like, oh, I could watch everything. What do I watch?
Or watch Arrested Development again. Yeah. I did something similar. Another channel that I like is, Jeremy Parrish, who's kind of one of the most famous video game journalists there is, founder of Retronauts, among other things. He has a series on YouTube called, Blank Works, NES Works, SNES Works. He just started. Which one did he just start? Was it TurboGrafx 16 Works or something? But anyway,
he did TurboGrafx 16, and he also started N64.
Yeah,
N64
and so he runs through every single game that was ever released for a system and does just like an 8-minute YouTube video on it with the history of it. And I found a lot of like hidden gems by just watching through his YouTube series, and which he also has turned into books, best-selling, really good coffee table books that are too expensive for me to buy, but I want to. I want them just so I can sit there and look at them, even though I've watched all the YouTube videos, because I've been watching them on YouTube for like 10 years, or more than that. So that's a great way to find stuff. Yeah.
When it comes
to got me. Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say that's what got me on Clash of Demon Head, which is not just the name Envy's band in Scott Pilgrim, your shirt that you're wearing right there, but it's also a actually very, very good Metroidvania from before Metroidvanias was a name. Speaking of Jeremy Parrish, who's often cited as the person that coined that term, but he will tell you he got it from another guy.
Yeah.
But I think
he
Scott
made it famous
or something. But he made it famous. But
that Jeremy Parish's because you can kind of just like watch it and just like I'll sometimes just have it on in the background and I'll just go, oh, that looks like an interesting game, and like I'll just favorite it, and then like I can just go back to it and just like if I'm learning about Congo Bongo on the Master System, right? Like that's not a game that like is worthy of like dedicating your life to hunting down a working Master System and a cartridge of the thing that hopefully works. Like it's not worth it because you're gonna play the game. It's a game that was meant to be played. It takes like 5 minutes to beat the whole game. You know what I mean? So by the time you've got your master system or in your Sega My Cart that you've gotten it shipped from Taiwan or wherever, because that wasn't even a system that came out in America.
Right.
Like why do I need to do that? Like I'm gonna play this game for 5 minutes and then I'm probably never ever gonna pick up this game again. So it is a way to experience a lot of gaming history, and I think that's very important, to like see where we've come from. And I know Kerry could speak to this. Kids play Roblox. Like kids are used to bad graphics, like so it's not as hard as you think to like introduce kids to Game Boy games, to even N64 games. Like I've been playing some games with my kid on Roblox, and some of those games look like fucking shit. They're bad.
People love Roblox, though.
Yeah, I get depressed. Like my son just like wants to play Roblox all the time, and I'm like,
yeah,
but he has access to so many good games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna say like another. Well, I don't know if we let's move on to what you were to talk about. We'll come back to that later. I was gonna say like hidden gems or games that you maybe have never heard of, but you should check out. If you like horizontal shooters, so what we used to call shooters before we now call shooters.
First person shooters.
Before we'd had first person shooters, we had games like in 1942 and Galaga and so on. One of my favorites of those I never would have found without Jeremy Parish is Airzonk for the TurboGrafx 16, which is a spin-off of Bonk, which is another famous series. Again, TurboGrafx 16 series mostly. But yeah, Airzonk is just like a ton of fun. And then there's Super Airzonk for the CD version. But anyway, yeah, a lot of games I never even heard of the TurboGrafx 16 when I was a kid. Even though it was around when I was a kid, I never even heard of it. And I learned, and there's a ton of fun games on that are, and you can emulate those on anything. That thing is like super low powered, beautiful system because it was an 8-bit processor, but a 16-bit graphic processor. So it just looks beautiful, but it's very simple NES era type games. And then they had the CD add-on, which was one of the first CD systems.
It was, yeah. Well, there's also Philips CDI.
Yeah, I think it does. Does it predate CDI even? I don't remember.
I can't remember. I
think it does.
I just like to make the joke that thing exists because it has 3 Zelda games I want to play someday.
I mean, sure.
I don't know if you really want to.
I want to complete every Zelda game, so there's that. But yes, I know. There's one actually was remade.
You got to play all those Tingle cell phone games.
I wouldn't mind if I could get access to them. Cell phones mobile games are hard to find. Even the ones like there's many of them that they don't exist. That's a whole different conversation. But to go back to your feast or famine point, what I want to say, what I found works best for me is that you make a list. Like I list every game that I beat, and then like this year I set an insane goal of 100 games, which I'm at 99 at the time of this recording on 12/28. And like, that worked for me, like having like, okay, I need to I want to play this game to beat this game so I can put it on my list. And then once I made peace with like save states, for example, like it didn't matter anymore. It wasn't like, I remember there was a time where I played Mega Man 2 every day for a month trying to master it. I'm like, what am I doing? Like this cheat. So I was cheating myself as Ninja. So that's what I was telling people. Make a list and start keeping track of everything you beat, and it will encourage you to finish games more. Yeah.
I agree with that.
For me.
Yeah.
One series that I would like to highlight. This is something I learned about from finding a game called Garfield Labyrinth for the Game Boy. And this series actually is the Crazy Castle series. And this Crazy Castle series has had 5 different IPs. So it has been the Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle games in North America. The first game in the series is Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle. in North America. But in Japan, it was Roger Rabbit. So then we move on to the next game, which was Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle for the Game Boy. But in Japan, it was Mickey Mouse.
Mhm.
So then the Game Boy game Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 2 in North America was Bugs Bunny. In Japan was Mickey Mouse. And in PAL was Hugo, which was a cable company's world.
Yeah.
And then Mickey Mouse, and then the fourth game in the series was Mickey Mouse 4, The Magical Labyrinth in Japan. In North America, it was The Real Ghostbusters.
Mhm.
And in the PAL region, it was Garfield Labyrinth, the game that
Yeah.
I found in the series. And then the fifth game in the series was Mickey Mouse 5, The Magical Stick. In America, it was Mickey Mouse Magic Wands. And this was the first time it was all Mickey Mouse.
Mhm.
And then after that comes Bugs Bunny and Crazy Castle 3. But in Japan, it was Go-Go Kid Suriyuke. And then after that, it was Bugs Bunny and Crazy Castle 4, except for the fifth game in the series, which was Woody Woodpecker for some reason.
Yeah.
In all regions, it switched back to Bugs Bunny and then to Woody Woodpecker in Crazy Castle 5.
Yeah, it's crazy that they kept the Crazy Castle numbering system with it also.
Weird.
Yeah.
But just switched. Oh, this one's a Ghostbusters game.
That is very odd.
They all play very similarly too. Like you just you get enough of an object. So in Garfield, it's keys. In Bugs Bunny games, it's a carrot. In I don't remember what it was in the Ghostbusters, but it's always you get enough of the thing you need to get out of the level, and you move on to the next level.
Yeah, I've played one of them, one of the Mickey Mouse ones. I don't remember which one, but
they're fun puzzle games. Like you have a little in the Garfield one, you have a drill, and you can only drill at angles. So you have to break bricks in order to like get to lower places in the map. So they're fun games, but it's just like, oh, you would have never known that like this IP spanning series existed unless I had picked it up for the Retroid Pocket Classic 6.
yeah.
I mean, that's just the beauty of emulation. Like, there's so much stuff
Mhm.
out there, and since it, you're just, I mean, a lot of the stuff is never getting re-released because of licensing bullshit. Like, it's never going to see the light of day. So if you
Right.
have an interest, like, I mean, I won't, like, to this day, I still will not touch Switch emulation because it's too new. I only touch systems that are dead and gone. That's my rule of thumb. I mean,
Yeah,
either
same.
way, it's still seen as pirating, but at least I have my moral. Where I'm like, well, you won't sell this to me. Like, if I can buy the game on Steam, one of my always things I do is I will buy the game on Steam. I'll still emulate it because I want save states, but like I will buy it. Like Prince of Persia, I bought all 3 for a couple bucks on sale on PC just so I legally own them. Even though I have this behind me, but like that's always my rule of thumb with it. Either each your own, however you feel. But it's just there's so much out there, and like people thought you need a Steam Deck in order to get to this world. Hopefully we're able to show you there's a lot of cheaper avenues depending on what is your flavor that you're looking for. Like, do you want to just dive back into Game Boy Advance? You're like, hey, I just want that system like the old days. Well, we gave you some good options.
Yeah.
There's also things like GB Studio, and people have been making their own new games. Like I played a quote demake of Halo Combat Evolved for Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
It was only most of the first and second level, but it's still really impressive that like people are able to make that type of game. Or
Yeah, there's an Elden Ring one that I played. It's a remake of Elden Ring for the Game Boy.
That or ROM hacks. Those are really big in the Pokemon community.
Oh god, yes.
Hack in all your favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, I started playing
99 Master Balls.
I started playing I can't remember which one it is. It's one that's set in ancient Greece. It's a Pokemon game set in ancient Greece. That's kind of all the rage with the community right now. I think it's
I bet I know the name, but I can't think of it.
Pokemon Lazarus. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Pokemon Lazarus.
That like crazy.
I started playing that. There's a lot of fan translations. That's how we played Mother 3. We mentioned that earlier. A lot of good stuff like that available. Also, an itch.io is like the indie game marketplace to check out, where games, they're either free or they're cheap or they're donation. It's pay what you want, but a lot of stuff is on there is free. And there's a ton of Game Boy Color, GBA, Super Nintendo, all sorts of games that'll play. And if you've got if you got a flash cart, you can play them on original hardware, which is another way to go. We mentioned briefly. I'll say if to me, the best handheld form factor ever is that original GBA. And so I have a GBA that I modded with a backlit screen, USB-C rechargeable battery, and then I've got an Easy Flash Omega, which is costs about as much as my Ambernic, I think, that is a flash cart for it that handles that and allows you to also play older systems as well. So it'll emulate NES and a couple of other things. So, but that's definitely a way to go if you don't want to buy one of these handheld, if you want to play on original hardware, then the flash carts are a great thing to do also.
Yeah, because some people still want that touch of having, using their original hardware. I mean, hey, flash cards are not bad, and they sell them on Amazon, so
yeah,
makes it a lot easier to buy them.
Yeah, the kind of gold standard one, the creator, he lives in Ukraine, and so production stopped for a while, but he actually got out of Ukraine and I think is producing again, if I remember correctly. So
I was just looking up. There's one last thing is this one here that I'm looking at is called GBX Cart, and basically it's a device that you plug into your computer so that you can just rip the ROMs off of if you already have like a Game Boy Advance library of cartridges, you can just rip the ROM straight off of them.
And the save files.
And the save files as well, to save them from the battery degradation that are on those cartridges as well.
Exactly.
So there are ways to even just transfer games that you legally own as well. So that way you don't have to deal with I don't know if the long arm of the law would kick down your door for, a copy of Ronald McDonald on the Sega Genesis. But
what you go with?
If they really got to know, like you could show, like I could show them my copy of Brave Fencer Musashi, that I have on disc for the PlayStation if they really want it. And then, so what are they going to do, right, at that point? Because I've got a disc drive on my computer, so I can make it. You could make a ISO and just copy it over. So if you have a lot of older consoles, you can rip the file straight off and even just leave the original file there. Just make a copy. It's your game.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah,
I think that's everything.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys learned something out there listening, and we poked your interest in trying some of these, handhelds that are out there, or just if you've been curious about emulation, like take a look at it. I mean, if you're nervous when it comes to go after the old games, like go anything before PS1, nobody's really concerned.
Yeah.
What do you scare?
Yeah.
Like enjoy play these, especially. Or if you really feel bad, play licensed games that will never, ever be re-released again. Hey, like the Garfield game, there's not coming back out again. I guarantee it. Nobody's re-releasing that.
Abandonware. What?
Yeah.
Is there a website called Abandonware? I think
it's still around, yeah.
Abandonware.com. Yeah, there's some people that do not care. And I mean, there's some people that will, they won't bring something back just because they don't want to check and see if they own it. Like, it costs them more to have their lawyers comb through their archives to see if they really actually own it. And somebody else might actually own it. So it's better to not even bring it up. Just pretend like you own it.
Yeah, no, My Abandonware still exists. It's a website that I was introduced in the 90s. It's still around, so...
There you go. Yeah, use My Abandonware.
Grown, but yeah. Forgot that was a website. Thank you. I used it for PC games a long time ago when I was trying to find old PC games. They got a lot of stuff on there. So, yeah, there's lots of ways you can go. But, well, thank you guys for joining me to have this conversation finally.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And thankfully, the tariffs from the orange didn't affect prices too much. So, hey.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Ambernics are still the same price. Same. I don't know if when you go to buy one, if it adds a tariff charge afterward or not. I don't know.
I don't. Not with Amazon.
I was just glad I bought mine when I did. Oh, right.
Yeah, I bought this Retroid in June, and the biggest thing was shipping cost $25, and it took like 3.5 weeks. It was like a Chinese shipper. Like it was all like the website was all in Chinese. I just had to follow the date. I mean, most web browsers auto translate, so it loaded up just fine. But there was a long period of time where it was just like left the shipping place, and for like 2 weeks nothing happened, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's in New York now, and it's like, all right, cool.
Things were worse during that time. There was a lot of confusion because someone didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So it's gotten better now, I think. It's not as much of a struggle. Thank you guys for joining. And Kody, where can people find you at?
When is this episode airing? Is this episode airing after the end of the year?
1/7, this should come out.
Oh, okay. So you could find me on YouTube as the story of Kody. It's a multimedia review website. It doesn't exist now, but it will exist when you hear this. So this is you two are hearing about it now, that it's a new thing. Night Owl Gaming is also a thing on YouTube, but it is the shitty, like, hindsight is 2020. Night Owl Gaming is a shitty website name for search engine optimization. There's like 8,000 Night Owl Gamings. Don't do that. Like, pick a better YouTube name, kids. Don't be like me. Don't make my mistake. But yeah, that's where you can find me, is TikTok, YouTube at the story of Kody.
All right. And Kerry.
Well, I also suck at search engine optimization with my username Kerooseta, Kerooseta, on Twitch and YouTube. I modify and repair video game consoles. Hoping to get back into that soon. As you mentioned, the tariffs, they have made buying original hardware from East Asia a little difficult, and parts a little more expensive now. That plus retro gaming, so it's just kind of become a little bit too expensive of a hobby. But hoping to get back into it pretty soon. Clean the workshop the other day. So, but I also just kind of stream whatever I'm playing, which is usually some sort of Dark Souls. So check that out.
All right. And if you enjoyed this episode, there's over 900 other episodes of this podcast. We do usually movies, TV shows, video games, comics, not normally topics, but we should. I do like this idea. So check out if you want to find our giant catalog, everything we do is on Podbean. You can search. They have a search bar right there. You never know. You can search whatever you want. You never know. We might have done it. We do a lot of stuff in those 900 of episodes. So check that out. If you want to support the show, we do have a Patreon. $1 you can vote in our Patreon poll. We have 1 to 2 polls a month. Currently back to 2 for 2 months at least. So check that out. And if you donate $10 or more, I will plug your podcast or YouTube every episode I create during that month. I create a shitload every month. So, and they never go away. I leave those up. Like these two wonderful people, Phoebe Stanton, the Let's Play Princess, on YouTube and Twitch. And check out her podcast, Nerd to Broadcast. And check out Zach's podcast, absolutely the best podcast of work. And talking about the MCU movies, MCU adjacent movies, and they are currently on the Alien Predator franchise. So check them out. And check out A Gamer Looks at 40 with Bill Tucker. He is back from his hiatus. And also, want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro crew, Helena at Hell Hath Fury. You can follow her on TikTok and Instagram. And join our Discord. If you want to be in the show, if you want to suggest things for the show, join our Discord. I'm always happy to have new people join us and chat with us on there. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, YouTube, audio only, and rate and review. Don't forget your podcast. I think that's everything. See you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.